Riding Side Saddle, we're back. It's Tammy.
And Lisa.
And we are on season 6. We're deep diving into this book called Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinklast as PhD. Last time we left off in the middle of chapter 2.
That's right.
We did not even get close to finish.
It's because how awesome it is. So Tammy, as we've been introducing this book and going through the introduction, and you had been giving your impression of the book and kind of your experience about how challenging it had been to read so far. And our last conversation, you clarified that a bit more, that it's 2 parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be a hard read. Especially the introduction seemed like really challenging to read just because of the style of the author. But I think as we start to dive into the chapters, that style changes a bit, where it's a little bit easier to read. However, the work that is associated with taking that information after you take it in, like comparing it and utilizing it in your own life,
right?
Like there's hard work there,
right?
So it isn't,
which is what makes it hard.
Yeah, it isn't a bad book.
No,
it's a great book that requires a lot.
It does
of work for you as a person, right?
Yes,
you meaning holistically. You
correct. It is even just uncovering some or connecting some dots.
Yeah.
Or even just, I remember a time when I did what she just talked about in that chapter, and it brings you back to,
hard times.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's emotionally a hard book to read.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
It's good, deep, dirty work.
Right. But I can't do deep and dirty all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I tend to procrastinate on things like this. I don't generally read self-help books.
Yeah.
That's not, if I'm going to find a book to read for, pleasure, it's not going to be self-help because that is not fun to me.
Right.
I've read more self-help books because of Riding Side Saddle. Like that's just part of our thing. But if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have read those books.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I generally find them hard to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're necessary. I mean, they are. I've talked about Brene Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection. I'm so thankful and grateful that book was introduced to me because I cannot.
It was profound for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right.
I can't say enough about how life-changing it was. But holy moly, the hard work that goes into reading that.
Right.
I remember, so I read that book for the first time with Caroline. We'd read one chapter, much like this, and then we'd get together and have coffee and lunch and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would show up and be like, yeah, nothing really. I mean, there wasn't much in this chapter that really, didn't sink in. I don't have much to talk about exactly. And then she'd start, and I'd say, oh,
right,
yeah, I didn't read that like that, so maybe I wasn't really reading it.
Interesting.
And I'd have to go back and read it again, and then I would, so there actually was a lot in that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in a place where I could let it in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So always being in that place where you can let this stuff in, that's taxing.
It is. It is. There's a lot of efforting there.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But good efforting. Like the reason why I said what I said is because I don't want people to imagine like this book just sucks. It's just really hard to read. I'm not going to comprehend it. Like I don't want to even dive into it. That's not the level of hard that it is. It's not a hard read like tax law. like like that's hard. That's a hard read.
This is not legislation that we're reading. Yeah,
right.
No, that is very true. It's just, the words are not hard to read, but if you read them and take them in.
And you let it do the work.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's why it's a hard read.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I just needed to make that clarification.
That's really fair.
I'm a really huge advocate for this book.
Yeah.
Even if it means doing hard work.
Right.
And especially because it means doing hard work.
And I completely understand and agree. If we were reading The Gifts of Imperfection, I would be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I totally get it, and I agree. I will still say it's a hard read.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So in our hard read,
yeah, we left off
through...
with page 50. We were talking about the key. That's where we left off. And I mentioned the story about the card Caroline had made for me. You hold the key. And Clarissa in this book says, the key represents permission to know the deepest, darkest secrets of the psyche. In this case, the something that mindlessly degrades and destroys a woman's potential. You hold the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
You turn
it's up
it.
to you, babe.
You turn it. You open the door and you deal with what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else can do any of that for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. What do you have?
Well, I actually go to page 53, and I don't know in your mass of little scratchy tabby notes over there if you had anything before that.
Well, I do. So she's talking about the door in the fairy tale, the one that the tiny little beautiful key opens.
Mm-hmm.
So that door is portrayed as a psychic barrier, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's placed in front of a secret. The guard reminds us again of the predator's reputation as a mage, a psychic force that twists and tangles us up as though by magic, keeping us from knowing what we know. Women strengthen this barrier or door when they discourage themselves or one another from thinking or diving too deeply. For you may get more than you bargained for. When you hang on to that sort of mentality, don't look too deep. You might get more than you bargained for. That's how you keep that door in place, right? But you have to get to the other side of the door.
Right.
Right.
Because otherwise you aren't living your true self in your life.
Right.
We were teasing in the last episode when we were talking about, at the point in time where Bluebeard had said, look, you disobeyed me. You went in, and she's like, give me 15 minutes, man. Right. And she's calling out to her sisters. And we were teasing about, hey, bitch, you're the one who opened this door. Now you better help me out.
Right.
But
it's all fun and games till I'm dead.
Right. The comments that you're making right here and right now, like that's truth.
It is.
That's truth.
Right.
Like you could be like, oh God, I don't even want to open that can of worms, because if I go down that path, then I don't even know what's going to happen if I go down that path.
Right.
If you're in a relationship.
Right.
And you're like, I just don't love that part of this relationship. And I know I'm talking externally. This can all be associated internally as well, but ultimately it culminates externally. Sure. Like, I don't really love that part of this relationship, and I know it hinders me in a variety of different ways, but I just need to ignore it. Like I just can't deal with that. Mm-hmm. Like
I'm fine. It's fine.
It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Does it bother me? Yeah. Does it hurt my feelings? Yeah, it hurts my feelings, or whatever. Right.
Right.
But there are so many times.
If I say something, it'll be worse than if I just
don't want to deal with it. Right. I say that stuff a lot. Like, and I'm not saying just relationship wise, but I'm saying it from the perspective of a lot of things in life. Like, okay, I know that this isn't ideal. This isn't really how I want it or what I want, or it doesn't match up to who I am or what I value. I don't have the energy, or I don't want to dive in because it's going to take too much of me.
Right.
Like these damn books.
I just can't deal with that right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is building the barrier, right?
Sure.
It's building the door thicker.
Mm-hmm. I know I have to open that door. I'm just not, I don't want to.
I'm not ready yet.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that feels so bad.
It does feel bad. It feels very stuck.
Yeah. And sad.
Right.
And I sell myself off a lot from that regard. Like,
I'm sorry.
Well, and I don't think I'm probably unique.
You're not.
Like, if you think about anybody think about their own lives, you're like, okay, that fucking sucks. And
this is really hard, but this is where I am, so I guess I'll just stick with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I'm not looking for sympathy. It's just the self-reflection components, right? Like,
I get it.
Yeah, I do fucking do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. It's not unique to you.
No.
That is a human thing. She's talking about that kind of like, so how do you open that door? How do you get ready to open the door? That asking questions is central to the transformation. So the key question causes germination of consciousness. The properly shaped question always emanates from an essential curiosity about what stands behind. Questions are the keys that cause the secret doors of the psyche to swing open. So I don't think it's a question like, what would my life be like if only I wasn't dragging that dead weight around?
Mm-hmm.
Not even like that. I don't, for me, I think the questions are more like, why do I keep doing this?
Yeah.
I know how this ends, and it ends badly every time, but I don't know how to do it differently. What am I doing that is causing me to be stuck in this same sort of pattern and habit?
It is the same concept that we were talking about in the last episode, where I said that I was finding the same characteristics in people,
right.
But it had nothing to do with the people that I was engaging in. It was an internal thing.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're saying here as well. Like,
my picker's broken. Why is it broken?
Right.
And how do I fix it?
Right.
What can I do different so this doesn't have to keep happening?
Right.
I already know I don't like that, so I need to stop.
Right.
I'm the common denominator.
Yes. It's all inside work.
Right.
So asking those questions at a deeper level, so that naiveness, right? You don't have to keep banging your head against the wall,
right,
with whatever scenario it is that you're trying to navigate through, and doing it over and over and over again, because you're recognizing that the questions need to be asked and answered by you.
Right. Well, if only you didn't do those things. Nope. That's not the question.
Isn't it? Right.
I'd be happy if only. No.
If only you.
No.
Right. That's hard.
Look at so and so's wife.
Right.
She's happy because he does X, Y, and Z. Well, I don't. So, if you were with him, you'd be happy. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess if you had a conversation with her, it would be a little different than what it looks like on the outside.
Agree. Oh, right. Absolutely.
You're happy because you're happy. You're unhappy because you're unhappy. You hold the key.
Yes. Agree.
Mm-hmm. That's all I have on that.
Well, that's a big concept, and I think that's going to take a long time to chew.
Yep.
Right? How, like, in theory, that sounds great. Yeah, of course you have the key. Of course you have to do the inside work. It's all about you, and really, not about the external situations or people or characters in your life. Okay, in theory, that sounds, fine. But really, really actually applying that when you come across those situations.
Right.
To say, all right, so I know this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's start diving into me.
Right.
As opposed to being angry at an outside force.
Yes.
Because that's just the outcome. That is the end of the equation.
Right. You said X, and I felt all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really mad at you because you said that thing and it was hurtful and on and on and on. But why was that hurtful? Because he or she could have said that same thing to somebody else and it wouldn't have bothered them.
Right.
Why is that hurtful to me? What is it about that that I need to look at?
And what I need to heal inside of me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I recently had a conversation with Josh. I was feeling abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, he didn't threaten to leave me. It wasn't anything like that. I felt disconnected from him. which triggered abandonment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told him I was feeling disconnected, he's like, why? Why do you feel disconnected? I don't feel disconnected. Why do you feel disconnected? And when I started to explain it, it was all about things that had happened in my past.
Yeah.
That things that I'm very sensitive to that he didn't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did something that really didn't seem like any big thing to really anybody but me, and then I had all these really big feelings about it, that was all about me.
Yeah.
It wasn't about him being a jerk. It was really about me. Could he have been more sensitive? Maybe. But he didn't even know those were triggers for me.
Right.
Because they hadn't come up before.
Right. And if you really spin it, right, thank you, Josh, for creating inadvertently, like accidentally,
he really had
stumbling
no idea.
upon an opportunity for
sure.
me to dive into this in myself, to figure out where it's coming from, and to work on it.
Right.
It might not be healed, right? That might always be a sensitive spot.
Sure.
But it created the opportunity for you to dive back and rather than saying, you know, damn it, Josh, you're just like
everybody else.
Yes.
Right.
When really it has more to do with a wound
me.
in you.
Right. Right. You're triggering that wound like everybody else.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you're being shitty like everybody else.
Right.
Right.
And thank you for the opportunity to uncover that.
Right.
I'm sure that's how that conversation went.
Sometimes you have to, you know,
don't
take the long route to get there.
Don't say that to him. Josh, thank you for the opportunity to help me uncover an issue in myself. Because he will grab onto that and hold it forever.
Yeah. Don't ever do that again. Much better.
Exactly. Now you know.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to jump in page 53 in the section that starts with the animal groom. Again, I highlighted most everything on that page, but I found it fascinating that there's a lot of folklore associated with animal grooms. And I had read just a handful of different ones that I found were really interesting. I'm not going to go into the details of each of those that I read, but there was a commonality. There was a theme that happened through them. So one way or another, a woman had to be married to an animal of sorts. Yeah, a beast. And in these fairy tales or folklore, when the woman started to look into things or their curiosity got them, it always caused issues in the marriage or in the remainder of the folklore. So for instance, one of them was that it was a prince that was cursed, right? And he had to marry this woman, and he couldn't say that it was a curse. She just had to believe that, he was a beast of some kind. And when she started, like in the middle of the night, saw that he was actually a man, because he would change every night back into a human, then the curse stuck forever, right? Like, so once again, that concept of the woman asking the questions, diving in, being curious, like that's a theme. That's a theme in opposition of this.
Right.
It fascinates me now that I'm like knee deep into this. I'm like, why are there so many stories to say, oh, no, don't look. Don't start digging in. Like, you're going to be sorry, and now you're punished. You know? Like, it's very, I don't know if disheartening is the word.
You just should have left that alone.
Yes. And this is saying, like, truly the exact opposite. You need to get in there and, figure your shit out.
Ask the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just found that very interesting. I don't love that.
No. And she says, a woman may try to hide from the devastations of her life, but the bleeding, the key, right?
Yeah.
The loss of life's energy will continue until she recognizes the predator for what it is and contains it. So just not looking at it doesn't make the key stop bleeding.
Right. Or even before you turn the key into the lock.
Right.
Like what, when I simplified this in my head to kind of wrap my head around it, this natural predator, that part of yourself who, that's part of your psyche telling you can't, or here are the restrictions, or you can't trust in yourself, and, kind of what we were talking about in the last episode. I think of that aspect of me as all of the pieces. UN. You are unlovable. You are uneducated. You are like
unworthy.
All of the like all of the things. And inside of myself, that's what keeps me from moving into the room, to be able to uncover those parts that I know are there, and would make my life so much more full. But I have to get through all of the stuff first.
Right.
That natural predator is the
Yeah. Right. It's what holds you back.
Right.
It is the, she talks about this on page 54, that presence that you're just talking about in the psyche, it accounts for why women who say they wish to have a relationship do all they can to sabotage a loving one.
Right.
If only I had a good guy. Well, you had 5 of them.
Right.
And you wreck it every time.
Right.
Right. You blame them, but really it's you not accepting that love, right? Or not feel you're unworthy. Therefore, you have to destroy that. She also goes on to say that this is how women who set goals to be here, there, wherever, by such and such a time, they never even begin the first leg of the journey or abandon their plans at the first hardship.
I do that shit.
It's how all the procrastinations lead to self-hatred, all the shame feelings that are pushed way down and they fester, all the new beginnings which are sorely needed, and long overdue endings, they're never met. Wherever the predator lurks and works, everything is derailed, demolished, and decapitated.
I do that.
Yeah.
I do that to me. Nobody else does that to me.
No.
I do it to me.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of our conversation about, I think the title was Create Just to Create.
Yeah.
Right? Those, like something as simple as, oh, I have some time, I could draw.
Right.
Well, you're not very good at that.
You know it won't be that good. Why even bother?
Like that's kind of embarrassing.
You're just wasting paper now.
Right. Or, my grandiose ideas of like having a soup business. Like that, the concept and the idea of that fills my whole freaking heart.
Right.
But I stopped really early on in the process because I didn't feel equipped.
You said no.
Yeah. I told me no.
Yeah. I could say it with that coffee shop that we looked at that one time, where I had all the signs in the car on the way there, the license plate that said go for it. And
I
found
me.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, I found every reason to say no.
Right. Natural predator.
Right.
And nobody else did. Right?
Nope.
Nobody said you can't do that.
It's not like the bank said we can't give you that much money.
I didn't even fucking get that far.
No.
I already told myself no.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah. That makes me really sad. It makes me really sad. In part, that natural predator is don't do that because you don't want to chance failing.
Right. That's too scary. Don't look at that.
Yes.
Don't even begin.
Right.
It's much better to stay where you are.
It is.
You're comfortable there, aren't you? Maybe,
right.
but I'm pretty unfulfilled too.
It's not full.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to skip a little bit if you're okay.
Sure.
Okay. So
I mean, I have a bunch of tabs, but if you want to skip ahead,
if there's
or this will be another, hour long and we won't have finished.
If there's something super important that you feel that you want to say.
It's all right.
Now I thought I was ready and maybe I'm not.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk about this dark man bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not seeing it on my page because I had the idea and
Oh, did you close your book?
Well, I thought that I had it and I guess I don't. But, damn it. I wanted to talk about this part just because first off, this fucking just happened to me.
Oh.
These dark man dreams. So what she I can't find it in my book now, and I apologize for that. So I'm gonna just use my own words. But what she's talking about is your own self will start to surface these types of things when you are at a place in your life where you need to start digging into that room. And it's going to come through in dream time. It's going to come through in dreams where it's, I usually don't have dreams that are very action orientated or scary. Like I kind of have like normal, regular stuff in my dreams. It's not like I've never flown in my dreams. I'm usually not being chased in my dreams. But I will tell you that I just had a dream probably, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I always have to tell Tammy my dreams when I remember them in the morning because they're really impactful. So this particular dream, it started out with a couple of people in our family. So in our mom's family, and they had both of these people in my dream have already passed. And in one case, it was my grandfather, and he's been gone several years, years.
Right.
And I don't really dream about my grandpa, but he was in this dream. And long story short, some of my family who've passed, my ancestors, are in this dream, and they're working together to be able to accomplish a goal. Now, in life and in my dream, these two particular people, they didn't really see eye to eye. They didn't get along all that well. Thank you. On page 67.
67
I appreciate that. There it is. Thanks.
So in the corner, I wrote Lisa with exclamation marks because I knew that you had just had that dream.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it starts on page 67. I have a few things highlighted in here, but I guess I'm just going to go rogue with it.
Yeah, you're right on track.
Yeah. So in this dream, they were working together to defeat somebody.
Yeah.
And they didn't get along in the dream, and they're like,
they didn't get along in life either.
They didn't get along in life either. Like, fine, we'll work together. And so we collectively, me and the two of them, and I think there were some other people there, like we were working to overcome this challenge in this dream, even though they didn't get along.
I don't have to like you, but I'll do this.
And everybody knew it, right? So we're working together for this common goal to overcome this, bad person. And then things change real fast, specifically for me, that and she talks about it in this dream, like there were bad men, like in the dream. And I shifted from helping to support my family to being in jeopardy myself. Yeah. Like I was running because I was going to be raped. And I woke up from the dream and I was 95% awake, and I could hear my breath. Like I was like, because I was running. And girl, so I don't run in my life, and I do not clearly run in dreams. The concept is true. If I am running, somebody is fucking chasing me. Yeah. And they were. Yeah. And I fell back to sleep, and it drew me right back into the dream, exactly where I was. And then I read this, and I'm like, geez, right. like there's something happening that is creating this dark man aspect to say, dig deeper. You need to keep digging. You need to keep working on this. There's something that's causing you to stop yourself.
Right.
But keep going. And because of the fact that my grandfather and my uncle were in this dream,
and they were supporting you.
I wasn't tied to them in life.
Right.
They're
not extra close.
They're family.
Right.
But it's not like I didn't have a deep, deep connection.
Right.
They were there. And so this is connected to my ancestry, the generations of that family.
Sure.
I just found it really amazing that I literally just had this dream. I told you about it. And then we read this book and we're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I guess I have some work to do.
Right. I wrote your name and exclamation marks twice on page 67 and page 68.
For real.
68.
For real.
Right. Because it is exactly what you were dreaming about. And I remember when we were communicating about that dream, I said something to the effect of, do you feel like somebody's trying to take something from you?
Yeah.
In your real life. I hadn't read this book yet.
Right.
So it does. She talks about how, like, the different things that could mean.
Right.
From a young woman, like just starting to kind of come into her own awareness and things like that. Several different things, and we don't have enough time to really get into all of them very deeply. But some of them, it could be about in your real life, whether you're being called to, like, stay or leave.
Yes.
Fight or flight fight or flight is happening.
At the very tail end of page 69, it said, so when women dream of the natural predator, it is not always or solely a message about the internal life. Sometimes it is a message about a threatening aspect of the culture one lives in,
right.
Whether it be a small but brutal culture at the office, one within their own family, the lands of their neighborhood, or as wide as their own religious or national culture. As you can see, each group and culture appears to also have its own natural psychic predator, and we see from history that there are eras in cultures during which the predator is identified with and allowed absolute sovereignty until the people who believe otherwise become a tide. I summarized it in my own words, like, this natural predator takes shape internally and externally and uniquely individual to a large collective.
Yeah.
Like, all of those pieces are challenged. Like, this isn't just, I just have to, I don't know how to say this. This isn't just, I have to work on me internally, because that's the core of it, and that's the key. But it is astronomical in impact.
Absolutely. And if we use your dream and these two family members who had to both go inside so they could work together, when they didn't work together and when they were alive, right? They really didn't. But they had to go inside so they could do that and get to a place where they could work together. And you're doing the same thing. If we're all, like, all of these people are doing the same work so we can all move forward.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That's huge.
Yeah. That's where change happens. Right?
At the biggest levels.
Right. Not just change in your own life, but it's change. The ripples of change.
Oh my God.
Right.
Like, it's so, like, I can't even wrap my head around it.
Right. The possibilities are so huge and endless and exciting.
All right. Well,
she talks about the creative. Yeah. Well, we're almost done at the end of this chapter here anyway. She talks about how often the creative life is slowed or stopped because something in the psyche has a very low opinion of us. And we are down there groveling at its feet instead of bopping it over the head and running for freedom. I struggle with this.
Every day.
Yes. Every day.
Yes. It's big. Like,
it is big. And I tell myself oftentimes I would do that, but I don't have time.
Right. I shouldn't. I should do this instead.
I'm really tired. I need to rest.
Right.
I have to do laundry. Yeah, I have to get ready for this. I have to, when really, everybody has the same 24 hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I could find time to be creative every day.
It is a
even
natural
if it's
predator.
for 10 minutes.
Right.
I could find time to work out for 10 minutes.
Right.
I can't tell you how many reels on Facebook I have saved of short little workouts because tomorrow
Right.
I can do that workout. And tomorrow's
Right.
the day I'm going to do it.
When I'm ready to do it, I'm going to have this right here.
I probably have hundreds
Right.
of these videos saved.
Right.
And tomorrow comes and
I'll save this one too.
I probably should just rest.
Right.
Right. It is somewhere there is that very low opinion of myself. So if I were to start asking some of these questions that she talks about in this book,
Mm-hmm.
start asking the hard questions, maybe I could get to the bottom of that and move forward
Right.
and not feel so stuck
Right.
in some really big areas of my life.
Right.
Dang it.
It's a hard read.
It is a hard read. More exclamation marks in the margins. Yeah. What I have exclamation marked is she's talking about all the excuses that we use to not do the things that our soul wants to do, right?
Yep.
Like you feel it deep in your soul. We say things like, I'm not talented, I'm not important, I'm not educated, I have no ideas, I don't know how, I don't know what, I don't know when, and the most scurrilous of all, I don't have time. She says, I always want to shake them upside down until they repent and promise never to tell falsehoods again.
Sounds so familiar, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
It's me. It could literally be me.
Right. But I don't have to shake them up, for the dark man in dreams will do that.
Uh-huh.
And then if not he, another dream actor will.
Yep.
So,
Damn it.
yeah, she says the dark man dream is often enough to scare a woman back into creating again. At the very least, she can create work which keeps the dark man in her own dreams. Or, like, out of her own dreams.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I know we have to wrap this up, but she says, if the predator is ignored, it becomes increasingly and deeply hateful and jealous, with a desire to silence the woman forever.
So do you think that comes out in, oh, that must be nice. Oh, good for you. Like, I don't have this situation and that ideal, and I'm, I'm responsible, and I can't because of this.
And I could never because I don't have.
Yeah. Do you think that that's kind of where some of that comes from?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I do that shit.
I do too.
Like
I could be
a real
creative
thing.
every day if I didn't have to have a full-time job.
Right.
But could I really?
Right. I had to find something else.
I would find something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Oh, I love that at the end of the chapter where we have to wrap things up and you're like, oh, just one more thing. You're in, baby. You're in.
Fine.
Yay!
Fine.
All right.
I will really end. Oh, I have another exclamation mark. I just turned the page and saw another one. I don't even know why I have that. Boy. Oh, I do know. It's a really short story. She's talking about when Wild Women teaches women not to act nice about protecting their soulful lives. The wildest nature knows that being sweet in these instances only makes the predator smile. I remember very distinctly somebody once saying to me, this is after I'd started doing some of that really hard work.
Yeah.
You're not as sweet as you used to be. I was like, get used to it.
Bitch.
Yeah, it's only getting worse from here on out.
Yep.
That person is gone because that person led to a very dark place.
That's right.
And I nearly did get stuck there. So I'm not doing that again.
It reminds me of a comment that I've been identifying and saying for myself recently. In order to love you, it doesn't mean that I have to stop loving me.
No.
Or in order to be respectful to you, doesn't mean I have to be disrespectful to me.
Absolutely.
And that's really
exactly what
tapping
it is.
into what you're saying.
For sure.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. We got to
wrap
really
have to wrap this up. So, all right.
Todd.
Thank you.
Mind Garden Media.
Yes.
Amazing, wonderful resource, beautiful person. Like, connect with him, right? If you
want to
have
do
the
a
desire,
podcast,
then do it. Reach
Yeah.
out to him. He's He's one of my favorite
fantastic. People. Yeah.
And our fans. Thank you. I really hope that you, I'm going to start crying. I really hope that you are coming along with us with this. Not just because Lisa's excited about the book, but maybe that got you here, and that you're finding bits that really change important parts of who you are.
Yep.
That's all. We love you.
Yes, we do. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for sharing and liking and hanging in.
Yeah.
Tagging along.
All right.
Even if it's just because Lisa likes it.
I want more. I want more, Tammy.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.